At Lifehack Coaching, we help women over 35 to balance hormones naturally, boost metabolism, and lose weight sustainably. Hey everyone, I'm so thrilled to introduce you to Melanie Young. She's experienced osteopath, and I met her through Venice Women's Networking Group. Melanie has over 45 years of experience in dance, Tai Chi, Pilates, and osteopathy. And now she's specializing in gentle treatments like biodynamic osteopathy to help people heal from trauma and improve overall well-being. So today, Melanie is here to share how osteopathy can help manage stress, improve sleep, and also support women through perimenopause and menopause. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Anastasia. Thank you for having me on here.
It's so good. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do and how osteopathy can support women during perimenopause and menopause.
Okay, so as an osteopath, when we see someone, we do a medical history, we find out about what's happened in their life, we do a physical examination, osteopathic examination, orthopedic neurological examination as is indicated for them, and we have an hour for the first appointment, which is great because often when we see doctors it's 15 minutes, so we really get a good look at what's going on for the person. And it's not just about the medical stuff, it's like what's actually going on for you in your life at this time. So because we're always in the context of what's going on around us and all the forces and stresses that are occurring that are affecting our ability to be on balance or being off balance. Yeah, so we look at that full picture, and then as we're doing that, we're really looking at how can I help as a practitioner in the best optimal ways and which order to work on things first for the person that I'm seeing. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, because we're here to talk a little bit about perimenopause and menopause, what are some of the most common physical symptoms that women experience during perimenopause and menopause, and how can what you do, osteopathy, can help alleviate those symptoms like joint pain and muscle tension?
Sure. So probably top is fatigue, brain fog, not sleeping, muscle pains and aches can definitely come into it, and it can definitely affect how women can exercise, particularly because of the estrogen affecting the ligaments and tendons in your body. And that's just a physiological thing. Like you just can't get around, that hormonal effect yourself. So it's important to be able to sleep well. And if you're waking up at 3 a.m. and not able to go to sleep, it's going to affect the rest of your day, the rest of your week. It's going to affect how you can function really well. Hot flushes, of course, are annoying, and everyone who's had one knows what it's like. And yeah, so as an osteopath, what we look at is we work to help your body function as well as possible. So, for example, a lot of people have had injuries or accidents or illnesses in their life that they haven't fully recovered from. They might have fallen on their bottom when they were 10 and compressed their sacrum and affected the blood supply and nerve supply to the uterus and ovaries. Or they might have had a head injury that's affected their pituitary gland, which is releasing hormones to affect their ovaries and adrenals. So, and many other things. So and also maybe not breathing well because of stress. A lot of women are accumulating a lot of stress in their 30s into their 40s. You've got kids and work and parents and a whole lot all combines. So we often don't realize the load that we're carrying. And then perimenopause and menopause really puts the pressure on that because your system suddenly doesn't have a lot of the support that it's had from those hormones, and your tissues are unable to work so well. So as an osteopath, we look at improving blood supply, removing the impediments for arterial blood supply, also venous and lymphatic drainage, which are really important in your body for your body to be able to function. So these are just physiological terms for what your body's trying to do every moment of the day. And if you sit a lot or you've had injuries or illness, life's very often not optimal, how we're able to function, then that will affect how your body can manage all the stresses that are going on and the hormonal reductions that are going on for you at this time. We also do a lot of hands-on work. We're very skilled in our hands-on work. So first we listen to the tissues, see what's going on. Maybe that you've got joint restrictions in, neck, back. It's affecting your digestion, affecting in your head, affecting your, giving you headaches, affecting, again, as I mentioned before, the pituitary gland, the blood supply around that area. I could talk for ages on that. There's lots of different areas that you could talk about there.
It's good. Keep talking.
Yep.
It's all
Thoracic
interesting.
diaphragm, for instance, some women, they really don't breathe well and they don't know how to breathe well and they find it very difficult to breathe well. And so an osteopath is very useful to free up the lower ribs, free up the thoracic diaphragm, get the thoracic diaphragm moving as it's meant to, and the ribs being able to move laterally. You can get better breath. You don't feel as panicky or restricted or stressed by not being able to breathe so well, which, of course, oxygen is very important for all our physiological processes and body healing. So osteopaths look at the whole body and see each person as a unique person that needs support in their environment, and what do we work on first? Yeah, for you to help you to flourish.
Sounds like I will be a perfect client. From everything you're saying. I remember ages ago, I went to see an osteopath. It was, I can't remember when, it was so long ago, even before having kids. And I used to have a ring in belly button. And he actually told me to take it out because it was like creating imbalance in my body or something like that. I haven't put it back since then. Is it true? Is it a thing?
It's not something we would learn as an osteopath at university, but my understanding of that is it can affect your electromagnetic field, which we all have. It's measurable. Our heart has a field that can go out around up to 20 meters from our body, and brain, everything's functioning with the neurological system is it's electricity. So our body is electric. And if you have something metal in the midline, it can definitely affect how that functions. So yeah, that'll be why he probably said that.
What about earrings?
Yeah, earrings aren't so bad because they're symmetrical and they're not midline. So they're like a balance thing. They're fine. You're not so much like.
So you mentioned if people come, like if people had some sort of injury. So I'm just thinking about myself. I used to do ice skating when I was young, and quite often you land on your butt very often. And so you get really sore, that tailbone. So
Yeah.
and now I do have a back problem, which I was
Yeah.
told like start off for arthritis, and it's my age apparently. And I'm thinking,
No.
how's that been affected by?
So this is your pelvis here. These are your hip
Well,
bones that
my
you
one
feel
is
in the
right.
front.
My pain is like at the bottom. I think it's S. Is it S1? Is it such a thing? Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
so this is S1 here. This is your first
Yeah,
sacral vertebra. This is your L5, okay? Your fifth lumbar
between
vertebra. You have
L5
five.
and S1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
L5 and S1. Okay, so
So
looking
apparently I
at
don't have a
this,
sponge there.
yeah. So see how your sacrum here, it's got 5 bones,
Yeah.
and they won't finish ossifying. So this kind of bone forms in cartilage. So first there is cartilage there, and then the cartilage gets ossified, so it gets bone type cells creating the bone. So
Yeah.
as a child, you have joints between all of these,
Uh-huh.
and that don't actually fuse. This bone is fused in an adult from age 30. So any falls on your bottom up to age 30 will put a strain in the cartilage between the bones, and then the cartilage is much more easy to deform because it's not ossified. Then if you don't get a treatment before, with a good cranial biodynamic type osteopath,
Never had treatment.
before you turn 30, then the sacrum here is very likely to have some buckling and strains in it, which then affect how the L5, S1 joint, disc, etc. can function. So as an osteopath, we will work very gently, but we work with the bone and help the bone be more functioning as fluid so that those strains can come out of it, so that then the L5, this is a very important joint here, the L5, S1 joint, a lot of work and compression goes on that area. So if there's strain through the sacrum, there's no amount of cracking of that joint will help, because the problem's actually down here and you can't crack that. So you actually have to treat the intraosseous strain of the sacrum.
Yeah, and so that's what I've noticed. Like going into perimenopause, like everything hurts, right? All my joints hurt, but my back, like we've done everything, changed the mattress, went to like no super firm mattress and everything. But every morning I get up and I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm a 90. I'm in pain. I'm hurting.
Yep.
I can't bend. I can't put my socks on. It's like I'm just over 40. But is that part of perimenopause?
It's definitely not old age, and it could be, as you said, the skating and falling on your bottom, and you may have a compression in your sacrum. I don't know if you've seen anyone who does the sort of work that I do, but that would be a really good idea.
Not for that, no.
Have you had any imaging, an X-ray of the lumbar spine or an MRI to see?
Am I right?
Yeah, MRI?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to ask on here what your MRI showed, because that's your own personal medical information, but if you want to share it, you can.
Oh, that there's no sponge, pretty much, and there's deterioration.
There's no disc? Yeah.
No, like it's,
Which
yeah.
Yeah, so they're saying there's kind of a bone on bone situation.
Coming to it, like it's
Coming to it.
very
And so you
minimal.
really want to change the situation that's going on in your pelvis, because what you've been doing up till now is causing a lot of trouble for your L5 disc. So
Okay.
yeah, would be worth doing something.
So for women that's going through perimenopause and menopause, have you noticed that kind of issues come up more, like joint pains, or is it connected?
Who've been, very active, and then all of a sudden everything hurts. It's the elbows, it's the knees,
Mm-hmm.
it's, neck pain, headaches, your body composition changes a bit if you're not exercising enough. You know this, your sarcopenia, so you're going to start losing muscle mass more rapidly after 40 and 50, and then 60. It just accelerates if you're not doing some forms of probably resistance training. And what osteopaths are really helpful there for is because sometimes women can't do the exercise because they're in too much
Mm-hmm.
pain, things don't work.
Yes.
And what I really encourage, I mean, when you're younger, 10, 20 and stuff, you can up your exercise like this and usually get away with it. But when you're a bit older, you just have to really be very steady with how you increase your exercise. Tendons, they're the connective tissue that attach muscle to bone. They don't
Mm-hmm.
like to know anything changes. So if you go from no running to a 5K run the next day, you're going to have an issue as a 45-year-old,
Yeah.
as older. It's
Yeah.
going to be a problem. So slow and steady wins the race. So I saw a patient yesterday who's 78, and they're at the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and they're lifting much more than people who are 50. And we were having a laugh and saying it's because she's been doing it for the last 15 years. She's just slowly getting better. So the older she gets, the better she gets. I mean, there might come a time when she's 95 or 100 and she's just like, oh, this is too hard. I don't want to go to the gym 3 times a week. But at the moment, and currently, she's fantastic. She's got great posture. She's able to do big, long walks and overnight walks. She's able to really enjoy her life because she's worked at it, and I've treated her
Yeah.
over a decade, just, a couple of times a year, balance things up.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. Because I get so many clients that, over 40 that been active. They used to go to the gym and then suddenly had injury or something happened and they're not active anymore and they've never actually healed or repaired. And now they start gaining weight because they're eating the same, they're not exercising. So they're consuming more energy than they're putting out.
Yep.
So my first point should be you need to see osteopath to see how that can be
Yep.
resolved.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's so good to know. And I didn't realize like a childhood injuries could impact the spine or any other things later in life. Like, I don't know, never even
Yeah.
skipped my mind
Yeah.
completely.
Body, the tissues in the body, the cells actually hold the trauma in the tissue, in the cell.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh, wow.
so for instance, I can see someone who's had a car accident and they, I can feel in their body that they've been hit from this side and their head's done this. And, you can feel all that. And then it's a bit like a psychologist will support the space. So we just support the space while the body goes through that process and
Yeah.
goes and comes back to midline. And that's it. It doesn't have to do it again. It resolves a whole lot of problems really quickly. It takes a few minutes with the right kind of osteo.
Like you.
Yeah, there's others like me too.
But
Yeah.
I guess it's, finding the right that you can connect with and you can get into good
Yeah.
relationship because it's a long-term relationship, right? So, no, that's cool. That's,
We get good results quickly too. Often people will be better. They've had headaches for years and they'll have one treatment and they're like, I'm not getting my headaches. And it's just because the blood supply has improved up to their head, for example. Yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. So,
Awesome.
what osteopathic techniques do you find most effective for supporting hormones, like hormone balance and overall well-being during perimenopause and
Mm.
menopause?
So when you're going into menopause and things, it's really important that your autonomic balance is good. So that's your sympathetics and your parasympathetics. So your autonomic nervous system is different from your muscle, moving nervous system, which we have
Yep.
control over very effectively. It's
Yeah.
like an automatic nervous system. And when you're too stressed, the sympathetic nervous system goes too high, and then your adrenals, which are sitting just on top of your kidneys, about the size of an almond, will release a lot of cortisol, adrenaline,
Mm.
and that can create a state of where you just, we're busy and you just draw on that and you can end up with adrenal fatigue, which
Yep.
you can feel very flat and very tired and for a long time unless you get the right help, or forever if you don't get the right help actually. So it's,
Yeah.
I was talking to a patient yesterday and she's got a lot on her plate, a lot of stress at work at the moment. And I said, you need to put the plug in the bathtub because she's working on things to build up her energy. I'm working on helping her nervous system to settle and build up her energy as well. But she's got the plug out of the bathtub. And so her energy is just going down the plug hole. Each day she gets exhausted, and that's just no way to live. Like, you actually need to live so that your batteries are near full, maybe 85% and above all day long. And so the techniques that are really helpful, I was getting round to it. You see, I was going to answer the question. Really helpful for helping women in peri and menopause is to calm everything down, because a lot of people don't know, first, that they're stressed, and secondly, what to do about it, because they maybe meditated and things like that, but they find it really hard to focus. They might be trying some breathing techniques, which is fantastic, and we would really recommend meditation and breathing is super. But sometimes there's, particularly when there's been stress for a long time, or maybe childhood stress and trauma that's just affected the way your body functions throughout your life, and you don't know any different. It's really hard to change that. And so what we do as osteopaths, using the cranial and biodynamic approaches, is we get our hands on and show the body there's a different way. You can function in a different way. And the body's like bypasses the cortex. So our brains often try and control everything. And this is actually a subcortical thing, where the body itself needs to be able to function without being interfered with and without too much adrenaline and cortisol. It needs to be able to just function in a peaceful state and not be micromanaged. So we just settle it all down, and the person will be like, oh, I haven't felt this relaxed in ever. And then they'll be like able to sleep again and able to function much better in their day. Yeah.
Well, you're selling it to me.
What we do is really helpful for that. And it's also helping getting women to notice what's going on in their own body, because so often people are just completely in their heads, and they exercise their body and they stretch their body and shower their body and all that stuff, but they're really not noticing what's going on. So we help you get that connection for your body, so you get empowered to be able to live your best life. And everybody's different. So as osteopaths, I started training in osteopathy in 1991, would you believe, and had to start again because I fractured my back. So I finished and graduated in 97 from my 5-year course, and that was great. But right from the beginning of our 5 years full-time university study, we were told to listen to what we felt with our hands. And so you do. And so you'll be able to, so every time you put your hands on a person, and I've done probably 20,000 hours, 30,000 hours, a lot of hours of treating people, you get to listen to so everybody has different amount of energy, different amount of issues going on, different nervous system. And so you get to really build up like a palpation dictionary of what's going on. And then you're able to guide someone and go, actually, did you realize that today this was going on in your body? And people go, yeah, I wonder what that feeling was. Oh, that's that. And people get to be empowered, which is, so the cranial osteopathy is something you start learning from halfway through your 4th year of 5-year study. And biodynamic, I started studying after I'd been out for about 6 years, because it requires a certain degree of clinical knowledge and palpatory skill to be able to feel what's going on.
That's amazing.
But it's so cool, because we kind of marry medicine and hands-on work.
Yeah, definitely. So would that be similar for fatigue that or brain fog that most women experience during perimenopause and menopause?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So we use whatever approaches are most useful for the woman and the woman's tissues at that time. And I always start on the very gentle side of things, but I am known to do direct work as well, direct work to the fascia or to a joint to actually get it moving, because the body may have really left town in that area and is unable to sort it out. But we work to get your body's self-healing mechanism working for you.
Yeah, that's cool. It sounds like our work is when people say, oh, tell me what you do, or tell me what the program looks like. I go, I don't know how it's going to look like for you until I speak to you, because it's not a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
One idea or plan, or I create something for you that I'm not going to create for anyone else. Everyone is very different based on what's going on in your life, what you want, what your hormones up to. Yeah, that's awesome. It's very personalized.
Yes, exactly. And conventional medicine's coming around to that more now, with the understanding of the biopsychosocial model, which is something that osteopaths have always done. Yeah. And my goal is always not to see people. So get you to a point where you're good, and then we might see you once a year or 3 times a year, depending on the person, and we just keep you flying along so you can have a really great life.
That sounds like a perfect goal. So finally, for anyone who's interested in getting in touch with you, how can they contact you?
Okay, so I'm the director and I'm an osteopath as well at City Osteopaths Healthcare in Wellington. I am very busy. I have always been busy. So I have a fantastic team around me as well. So I have a team of 5, soon to be 7 osteopaths around us.
Wow.
4 of whom do very similar work to me. And so you can look at our website, www.cityosteopaths.co.nz, or call our front desk team who are very experienced and they've been there for a long time, for many, many years, all of them, so they understand what each of us do. They'll put you in the right direction. If it's going to be too long to see me, you can see someone else and then come and see me later. You need an hour appointment for the first one, so we have time to do all the history and testing and things like that, as well as time to treat you and explain what's going on and develop a plan. And then after that, it's usually half an hour, though some complex patients we will see for 45 or 60 minutes if there's a lot of things that they need help with. So we just love helping people out of pain and back to health. And my why is to reduce suffering. So if you're suffering, get some help. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to join my podcast. I think what you do is super beneficial and it's going to be super interesting to hear and listen for my audience as well, because sometimes most of my clients that go through perimenopause and menopause do feel a little bit hopeless because they know something is not right in their body, but when they go to GP, they get a blood test and they've been told, nah, you're fine, you're absolutely fine. But clearly there's other things that can help to improve how they feel. So really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Anastasia. It was fun to do. I was a little bit daunted, but it was actually fun. Thank you.
If you have any questions about this podcast or about hormones, weight loss, or just healthier lifestyle, please go to our website at lifehackcoaching.co.nz or feel free to email me directly, Anastasia@lifehackcoaching.co.nz.